Ever wondered what the secret sauce behind a multi-million-dollar trading algorithm actually looks like? Well, today we're popping the hood. We're going to dive deep into the raw performance data of a strategy that pulled off something kind of mind-blowing. So yeah, let's get right into it.
Okay, let's just start with the big one. $14,438,515. Yep, that's the total net profit we're talking about here. It's one of those numbers that just doesn't feel real, you know? But it is. And the data behind it tells a fascinating story. Our job today, to figure out exactly what that story is.
And here's how it happened. This is the journey. What you're looking at is the equity curve. And honestly, it's just beautiful. It all started with just $3,000, a $3,000 deposit that over 8 years just grew relentlessly. This smooth, steady climb, it's literally the dream for anyone in the markets. So the question we all have is, how on earth did this happen?
All right, so to figure that out, we're going to break it all down. We'll look at the big performance numbers first, then we'll check out the strategy's internal clock. When does it actually trade? From there, we'll zoom way in on a single trade, and finally, we'll put all the pieces together to see the master blueprint.
Okay, first up, performance by the numbers. Let's really get into the core DNA of this strategy. These stats are going to tell us everything about its personality and how it behaves.
So this is the main dashboard. This is where all the secrets are. I know, it looks like a lot of numbers at first glance, but don't worry. We're not going to get lost in the weeds here. We're just going to pull out a few of the most critical numbers that really explain what makes this thing tick.
All right, let's kick things off with the profit factor, 1.97. Now, in the trading world, that is a really solid number. What does it mean in simple terms? Well, for every single dollar this system lost, it turned around and made $1.97. It's just a raw measure of how profitable the whole operation is.
Okay, now this is where my jaw kind of dropped, the win rate. Get this, 88%. A staggering 88% of all the trades it took were winners. That means it wins a lot more than it loses. And that ridiculously high strike rate is, without a doubt, a massive piece of the puzzle. But wait. Here's the twist. It's a huge one. Even though it wins almost all the time, its average losing trade is nearly 4 times bigger than its average winning trade. Let that sink in. This is so important. The whole strategy is built on banking tons of small, consistent wins, which all add up to more than cover those few much larger losses. I mean, can you imagine the discipline for that? You have to be okay with taking a big hit every now and then, trusting that all your small wins have your back. It's kind of like death by 1,000 cuts, but, you know, for the market. Not for you.
Okay, so we've got a handle on how it performs. Now let's figure out when it performs. Every great strategy has its own rhythm, right? A kind of internal clock. And if we can understand its timing, we can get way closer to understanding its logic.
All right, so these charts basically give us the algorithm's daily planner. We can see what it's doing hour by hour, day by day, even month by month. So let's dive in and see if we can spot any patterns. And yep, there it is, a super clear pattern. You can see the activity starts to pick up during the European session, but then it just goes into absolute overdrive during US market hours. This tells us one thing for sure. This algorithm is built to feast on the high volume and crazy volatility of the US session. But what's interesting is, while it has a favorite time of day, it doesn't really have a favorite day of the week. The performance is just remarkably consistent all the way from Monday to Friday. It's just out there, finding opportunities day in and day out. That's some serious consistency. Okay, we've looked at the 30,000-foot view. Now let's grab a microscope and zoom all the way in on a single trade. How long is this thing actually in the market, and what does it do once it's in a trade? Let's check it out.
3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's the average time it holds a position. Just think about that. This is not buy and hold investing, not by a long shot. This is blink and you'll miss it, high-frequency trading. It's in, it's out. Super, super fast.
And this chart right here just hammers that point home. See all those green dots? Each one is a winning trade. And look how they're all bunched up on the far left. That's because the vast majority of them are over in just a couple of minutes. The profits are being snatched up in these tiny, tiny windows of opportunity.
Okay, hang on. Before we look at the next chart, we need to know 2 quick terms. Don't worry, they're easy. MFE and MAE. MFE is basically how high a trade goes in your favor, the best it ever gets. And MAE is the opposite, how far it goes against you, the lowest point.
Understanding these two things is the key to seeing how this bot actually manages its trades once they're open.
So, what are these charts telling us? Well, look at the top one, the winners. See how tight that cluster of dots is? That tells us it's really efficient. It takes its profits very close to the best possible moment. Now, the bottom chart shows the losers. It's a bit more spread out, right? This means it sometimes lets a losing trade breathe a little, go against it for a bit, but it never lets them run completely wild. The losses are managed.
All right, we've looked at the stats, we've looked at the timing, we've even looked at individual trades. It's time. Let's put all the pieces of the puzzle together and lay out the final blueprint for this incredible strategy.
So, what is the secret sauce? Well, here it is. First, it wins a lot. That 88% win rate is the core engine. Second, it trades fast, with an average hold time under 4 minutes. Third, its risk management is different. It's totally fine with taking a bigger loss now and then because it knows it has a fire hose of small wins to back it up. Fourth, it's a specialist. It only operates during those peak US market hours. And finally, and maybe most importantly, it's just a stunning example of compounding, turning that initial $3,000 into over 14 million bucks.
So there you have it. The blueprint for what, on paper, looks like a nearly flawless system. It's an absolutely amazing case study of what's possible. But all of this is all based on what's already happened. And it leaves us with the one question that data can never, ever answer. In a market that never stops changing, the biggest question is always, what happens next?